them as an option.
Certainly. No, I'm very excited to have you on. No, we have John Albert DeMay, who calls in from Sacramento, California. Cody Robert Judy, I think his name is in. He's actually he's going up to the Supreme Court to basically do this birther thing, the illegitimizing of the presidency, which I completely support. I completely understand. I'm behind him on that. So we have him that's going on. There's another Republican from somewhere down south, Gilmore or something like that. That's just thrown his hat into the ring. And then you, of course, have also thrown your hat in. What made you do this? What have you run for office before? I mean, what made you decide to do this, Ed?
So no, I've never ran for any office. I really don't have a desire to be a career politician or anything of that nature. I want to emphasize that I'm not a member of any political party at all. I don't even use words like liberal, conservative, left-wing, right-wing, moderate, Republican, Democrat, because I don't even know what those things mean when it comes to politics, when it comes to, labeling a person. I'm very big on just looking at each issue individually and trying to come to the best solution possible for all of America. The reason that I decided to do this is because I get so frustrated watching presidential State of the Union address, and just 30 seconds after it's over, you have a rebuttal from, quote, the other side. And it's just this ongoing fight between these people, and what they're doing is they are, I don't know if the word is alienating, but they are clearly saying we do not represent 40% or more of the nation. Whoever wins. It's very clear that they are playing politics with people's lives, and I'm just not into that. So I think I have a quality that is lacking in a lot of these other people that will appear on the ballot, and that is that, I don't have those party lines to follow. I don't have any agenda that way. There's nobody behind the curtains pulling any strings. I just am somebody that wants to unite Americans rather than look for differences in them. And that's just legitimate.
Well, let me stop you there. I mean, the Black Lives Matter people might jump up on your stage and say that, oh, no, you're a racist because you want to bring everybody together. I mean, Bernie Sanders, talk about an ultra left wing. Never mind Bernie Sanders. The other guy, Governor O'Malley from Maryland. Talk about two ultra left wing socialist Democrat. These people need to wear the black mantle. They need to wear it. They need to wear that crown on their head. The Black Lives Matter people got up there and jumped on their stage. You just said the magic word. I want to bring all Americans together. Guess what, Ed? You're a racist, Ed. Go ahead. Take it from here.
What can you do? I think the media, I'm not saying there isn't racism in America, but I think it gets really amped up by media and politicians, and they want to. I really do think we're heading towards a major race war. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, my thing is this: I look at each case individually. So when you have the Michael Brown thing in Ferguson, just over a year ago or whatever it was, my take on that is this man was a thug. He made choices that put himself in the position that he ended up in.
Mm-hmm.
He attacked a police officer in a car, and this was a big boy. And the officer responded the way he needed to in the circumstances.
Yes.
And that's that.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I don't think that would get the attention that it got or the reaction that it got if there hadn't been cases in the past where police did act inappropriately. And so I think that what happens is this builds up, and what happens is that the good cops don't stand up against the bad cops when those things happen. And so therefore they all look the same. I believe that
and the other thing too, listen, Ed, I'm completely behind you 100% on that. I completely agree to that. I mean, I think, listen, and ladies and gentlemen, this is no denigration to my good guest, Ed. But I think we're kind of dreaming in unicorn world, in that, yes, I completely agree with Ed. You know, if we could get along, if cooler heads prevailed, if people were thinking a little bit more and maybe trying to, get to the bottom of something, these things wouldn't happen. Unfortunately, we do not live in that America. And I'll tell you why we don't live in that America. It's because we live in an America today that has a severely dumbed down education system. And not because of what's going on now, the dumbed down education system. What we are talking about is we are talking 2, 3, maybe even 4 generations of Americans who have grown up in a dumbed down educational system. You have children from the 70s and the 80s and 90s who grew up with a dumbed down educational system. Those are parents now. They have children who went through the 90s era of a dumbed down educational system. Now those children now have children and are now going to school in an even more dumbed down educational system, a more controlled, tightly controlled media. That's what's going on now. That's why you see the rioting. That's why you see these problems. These people, Ed, please disagree with me. Please take over the microphone in a couple of seconds and disagree with me. These people are stupid. They're stupid. They're stupid people. They're stupid people because they are the children of children of children who have grown up in a dumbed down educational system, and they're out there. I swear to God, these people, it's amazing they don't hurt themselves just waking up in the morning. Ed, take it over from here, buddy.
Well, there's a lot to all that. That could very well be the case. I think that there's a lot of things that have changed in those years that you're talking about. There isn't as many stay-at-home moms now, so they're out. You need multiple. First of all, there are not as many probably that are still married, or there's probably a lot more single parents. But people are out working, and there's just a lot of stuff. The entertainment has changed. What kids are exposed to. I think a lot of kids have to grow up quicker. And it's a different world than with what they're exposed to. Now, that all being said, when you look at like what happened in Baltimore with Freddie Gray, that to me is an entirely different circumstance. That is a case where the police, from what I understand, acted inappropriately, including the thing with the rough ride and these different things. So now they've arrested those 6 people. There were 3 white officers, 3 black officers arrested. My thing is this: you got the media influence. You got Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and these other guys that stick their nose in every time there's anything that could possibly be a white-on-black crime. And to me, that just obviously makes it, the focus just goes straight to racism instead of to bad policing or anything like that.
Right, we do. We jump immediately to that. Go ahead, sir.
And it's just horrible. So my thing is this: look, whether it's unicorns or not, I believe that Americans can do a lot better. I don't know just how dumb we are. We've got, there's just so much the media makes us pretty dumb. We're told things, we're told what to believe, and people do, and it's pumped in your face 24/7 on CNN or on these other networks.
Right.
It's hard. How can you fault them? But I believe more and more people are waking up, whether that's the younger people or whatever. I think a lot of us that are running for president or running for these other positions, whether
Right, sure, right.
You know, what I want to be able to do is, and I don't hear other politicians really addressing this, and when I say other politicians, I don't mean to refer to myself as one by any means, because I wouldn't want to be identified as such, but I don't hear these other people saying, what can we do for the inner cities? What can we do for the neighborhoods? And the reality is no child should grow up in a neighborhood, whether this is unicorns or not, no child in America should grow up in a neighborhood where they have to decide whether or not to join a gang just to survive. And we need to be able to do whatever it takes to get into those neighborhoods and help take back the streets from these thugs that think that they own them. And so I want to do whatever it takes to help communities rise up and to take things back. And that includes, I say, defeating stupidity, because we get all these ordinances and all these laws that make it so you can't have a lemonade stand on your street, or you can't feed homeless people in a park, or you can't do whatever else. And I think we need to get as a country and say, you know what, this doesn't make sense that this law is here in our neighborhood affecting us.
Right.
We need to be able to say to whoever's coming up with this crap that that's not going to work for us. And so that's what I'm about. I'm about putting things back in the hands of the people. I'm about people working together. And what I think is going to happen is this. First of all, I got to get my name out there. So doing a show like this is huge. Getting people to my website at baker2016.com. And there's my little plug. But what we've got to do is we've got to get people working together here, uniting. And I believe that we can do that. And I believe that we can, if I do win, or even if I just get close, but I'm trying to win this thing, I believe it's going to inspire many other good Americans to say, hey, that seemed like a crazy idea, but he pulled it off, or he almost pulled it off. Why don't I run for a local, state, or federal office?
Right, exactly.
And what's going to happen is we're going to start to see good people running for these positions. They're going to get sick and tired of these career politician lawyers that are running for these offices and are career politicians. They're going to start defeating them. And we're going to start getting true representation. One of the things that they're going to have to say to get in is they're going to have to say, look, we should have term limits. And they're going to have to vote them in, or else they're going to get voted out the next go-round. And what we'll do is we will start to get term limits in. It will ensure fresh ideas, new faces going forward. And that's going to, eliminate some of the opportunity for scandals and make it more likely that these people are in touch with their constituents. So that's the goal. And there's just so many things. I'm so upset about the secrecy in this country. How many things? One of my big passions is September 11th, and I do want a new investigation into that, and I want to hold people accountable. Without getting into, a lot of details or whatever, I simply don't believe the official story to be fact. And I've looked at a lot of angles on that. So I encourage people to look at that. But, bottom line is that I think we need to have more disclosure of things, unless it puts our national security or our military in extreme danger. I think we shouldn't be hiding things from the American people.
No, we should not.
And that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about.
Okay, let us move on, since you touched on a few things here. I like what you said about in the neighborhoods why kids are running around joining gangs. One of the big problems, and we are going to be going out to Marlborough, Massachusetts, on the 19th of September, and we're going to be filming Jessica Vaughn and Barbara Stinson, Barbara from Harlem. She's going to be out there, and we're going to talk about amnesty and the impact of illegals on job creation for Black Americans. I've done some research into this, and here come the numbers, is that the reason why that you, and just touched on it, why do we have so many kids running around in these neighborhoods whose only choice is to join a gang? Well, here's why. Because they don't have any jobs. Why don't they have any jobs? There's a couple of reasons here. One, the economy is completely in the tank here. Never mind this Obama economic upswing here, this 0.2% growth that they're talking about. Listen, countries around the world are growing at 7, 8, 9, 10%. We're looking at a 2% growth as an economic recovery. Please spare me. Pull your pants back up. The other thing is that we have illegals all over this country. Donald Trump is gaining momentum because he's talking about this thing. I know he's not giving specifics, but he's talking about this. He's saying what we're all already thinking. There's illegals everywhere. They're everywhere. Plus, companies are out there, they have actual tax and financial, initiatives or whatever it is, advantages to hire illegals. Undocumented people, pay them less money, maybe even pay them under the table. They don't have to give them all the big hours, or maybe they can. They don't have to give them Obamacare or comply with the Obamacare rule mandates. Unlike Americans, actual citizens, you do have to give them at least 32 hours. You do have to cover them with insurance. Or, if you can't, they have to pay the fine and get Obamacare. This is why we have so many children, teenagers, mostly black kids. I'm going to say, mostly black kids, running around the neighborhoods. They've got no jobs. Who's working the McDonald's? Hector Rodriguez. Hello, you want fries with that? Yes, I give you fries. Oh, yes, Hector, these aren't fries. Oh, no, they're fries. Bye-bye. Goodbye. And next. No, this is what's happening. You go into convenience stores, you go into laundromats, you go into any local business anywhere around here. Heck, my first job when I was a kid, I mowed lawns. I was a landscaper. I worked for the landscaping companies. Guess who's doing all of the landscaping today? Arriba, arriba, arriba! It's Andre, landscape company! And that's who's doing it now. When I was a kid, that's how I made my money. That's how I got my job. That was my first trade skill, is what it was. Today, you don't have that. This is why you have lots of kids, lots of black kids in the neighborhoods unemployed. Ed, take it from here, sir.
Wow, all right. I don't know how long. I think you got a long show. I mean, you might have to cut me off here because this is a big one for me. One of my top three things is the illegal immigration situation. And on my website, anywhere at all, on Facebook, you'll see my stance on that. And I take a stronger stance on that than anyone that will appear on your ballot, including Donald Trump. He has a strong stance, and normally I don't talk about other politicians or political parties. I get plenty of publicity elsewhere. But when I was sitting here reaching out to people, I had a number of people say to me, I really like Donald Trump. Right now I'm kind of thinking, go in that direction, but I'll listen to you. And a lot of times they told me I really like his stance on illegal immigrants. It was right after he had announced. And then he softened his stance a little bit. And I'm not exactly sure what that means, but even something came out from one of these organizations that supports illegal aliens, and they put out that he was softening his stance and coming around. And so I posted that on Facebook. Normally I don't post things about other candidates, but I wanted those people to see that maybe this isn't quite what you thought it was going to be with this candidate. So my thing is this. One, we need to secure the border. And I say with a double fence, probably with some military as well.
I think a minefield works good. I like a minefield. I like because we have a minefield around Guantanamo Bay. We've had one for a number of years. I don't see a lot of Cubans invading that place.
I'm not politically correct, but I am a little bit more diplomatic maybe than that, but not too much. But I'm not opposed to that either. I'm not opposed to capital punishment for those that continue to enter illegally. That said, I think those that are here illegally, whether it's 11 million or 30 million, like your guest last week was saying, I don't know the exact numbers. It's hard to tell because they multiply very quickly. But the bottom line is that I am for deporting all of them, and I don't really care what it costs. I think it's ridiculous that it's a $12,000 thing we're paying when we do deport somebody. I don't know what we're doing, send them on Lear jets or what. They didn't exactly come over here in the most luxurious of manners. I think that we could probably get them back home for less than that. But what my plan calls for is a voluntary deportation period, whether that's 90 days or whatever it may be. If they follow through and turn themselves in for deportation that period, they go through the process, fingerprinted and all the other process, then they would have the ability after a certain amount of time passes, I say like 5 years, to get in the back of the line, follow the rules for entry into the country again. If you don't voluntarily deport in those 90 days, you're banned for life. You will be deported when found. You will not be ever allowed to re-enter the country. Now,
People are afraid to, yeah, people are afraid to have that type of a position. I think that's a great position. There was a time in my life when I would have said, you know what, I understand that. And, there's still a little bit of liberal that still lives and breathes inside of me. Unfortunately, I'm trying desperately to suffocate it and put a pillow over its face, but it keeps coming back. Yes, I have that question. What do we do with the people who are here? And more, I have to agree, folks, with Ed Baker here. More and more, the more we see the stuff, there's another guy that just raped and killed a 64-year-old woman. Steinley, like a week or so ago, was shot and killed. This stuff happens. I guess there's 25 people a day. Those are like the rough numbers that are killed by the hands of an illegal. I mean, this gets out of control. And before, I used to say, well, you know what, some of them are here, they've got jobs, they've got families, maybe we should, I tried to be wishy-washy on that. I have to agree with Ed. 90 days, you sign up. If you don't sign up, we'll come and find you, you're out and you're banned for life. I'm sorry, but you know what, I'm sorry. This has to get done. Something's got to get done. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry, man, but it's my show. I completely agree with you here, man.
Yeah, a number of my supporters are very much, never reward those that came here illegally with citizenship. But I think in order to make this at all possible, I think you have to set up that voluntary period, and then if they do comply, then set that up. But there still needs to be a significant time period. It's not just cross the border and come right back. Which is what it sounds like some of these politicians are advocating for. In any event, the bottom line is you brought up a couple of good things about the mowing lawns. I want to get to that in a second. But
go ahead.
Not only what I was saying there, though, but also we have these, what do they call these cities? Sanctuary cities?
Sanctuary cities.
They call these cities. That's absolutely appalling to me that we would have that in the United States. That here's a city where you can break the law and do whatever you want and whatever. But come here and work and all this. But also it's the employers and the people housing these people, illegal aliens.
Sure.
That, they need to be significantly punished. They need to face, fines, significant fines, lose their licenses, and face incarceration for that. And then, as you were saying about the mowing of lawns, I was just talking to somebody just the other day about this. These rules that they come up with where you can't have a lemonade stand, you can't do these other jobs in neighborhoods, and go around and mow lawns. Where I used to live, I grew up in a manufactured home, park, and there was a guy that came knocking on doors one day, and he's carrying a beer in his hand, and he said, "My name is Matthew, I'm a Mormon, I'm not a good Mormon, but I see your grass is kind of high. I would like to mow it for you." And he ended up striking a deal, $5 or something. He said, I'll mow your lawn for $5. He said, great, okay. And so he went and did it. Well, before long, Matthew was coming back every week or two and said, hey, I see you could use your fence painted. I see you could use this. This guy in the summer, he had this entire park looking so good, and he was making plenty of money, not just beer money. I mean, this guy probably was making several $1,000s now a month. Now, was he doing all the right tax stuff? I don't know. But the bottom line is this. The park kicked him out. The park said, you can't do this kind of stuff here. Do this kind of work in our park. 2 weeks later, my family lived there 30-some years, okay? 2 weeks later, we get a notice in the mail that says, hey, you've got 10 things that you have to fix within 2 weeks to be in compliance. And so suddenly, after they kick out the help, who was keeping the place looking great, now they decide after 30 years to go around and nitpick and say, you got to fix all this stuff.
Yeah, those neighborhood association groups. Talk about something that is completely unconstitutional and completely illegal, but yet it exists. Go ahead, Ed.
No, so I was just saying that, it's so many different things, but to me that's stupidity. It's just, why would we allow that in our neighborhood?
Right.
Who the hell are they to come up with this rule? And why would you stop a guy from working his butt off for a reasonable price? Here's a guy that was able to start a business on his own. And he went door to door, he worked his tail off, and he worked in the heat and did this great work for a reasonable price. And, he felt good about it. He helped my parents that were elderly out with these kinds of projects. And what are you going to do? But you kick him out, you throw him out on the streets, and and then on top of taking away his income and his place to live and stuff, now we then get in trouble for not having everything up to their specifications.
Yeah, we were fixing everything, and then you guys threw the help out. Yeah, it's what I call in my blog piece the oxymoronism of liberalism.